Awesome.
Welcome to Breakaway USA. We are doing the weekend update with Gentry and Kevin.
And Kev, I'm right here.
And Kev, Speechless with Kev. We got a
Oh, yeah.
super exciting show for you guys today because we're going to be covering a wide spectrum of stories. We have the border, obviously. That's a hot topic.
Oh, yeah.
We have sex offender weird stuff happening in Seattle. We have Michelle Obama potentially running for president, which would be a really weird change up. And then we got some health and fitness stuff that we're going to
fat kids. There's flipping fat kids, and I'm going to talk about it. That's probably one of the most fired up. There's a lot of fat kids out there. I don't like it. Along with the fact that the Democrats are going after Zin.
And we're going to talk about Zin. There is a Zin-surrection going on. Chuck Schumer has declared war on males.
On men. It's absolutely a war on men. And we're going to talk about all of this here today on the Weekend Update.
Yeah,
the real
weekend update, by the way, not the SNL weekend update.
No, ours is better and longer. All right, so what story do we want to get into first, Gentry? What do we want to start off with?
Let's start off with a banger. Let's do the Zin-surrection.
Okay, so, the Zin-surrection.
The Zin-surrection. So this whole story started a couple years ago when they started to go to war against Juul pods. Right. They said, hey, flavored Juul pods, they're trying to get kids in. And to be honest, they're not wrong. Right. There's a whole bunch of kids who are.
Look, Gentry, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I think this goes back a lot further. This goes back a lot further when they banned smoking inside.
You can't smoke on planes anymore.
You can't smoke on planes. You can't smoke anywhere. And to an extent, okay, I know there's some health effects and stuff, but they have been consistently going after nicotine products. They'll go after nicotine products harder than they'll go after heroin or fentanyl or crack. And not saying they're not going after that stuff, but it seems like nicotine products are going after so hard, period. And they shame you if you participate in any of it. I mean, even cigars people look down on, and that's considered classiest of class. So, But you're right. Then they go into the Juul pods just a few years ago.
Yep. So what they're trying to do right now is get rid of all of the flavored chewing tobacco. Right. So that's a big initiative right there because they're saying that, it attracts kids, but now they're going after Zin. And here's what I know about Zin. Okay. There was a study done on it and they were like, what is actually in a Zin? And it's 90+% salt nicotine. That's it. That's all it is. And then the other like little percent is essentially just the pouch that it comes in. Right. Let me actually have some right here because I'm an avid Zin user. Let me show you what it looks like. This is a Zin. And for all intents and purposes, this is one of the best ways to deliver nicotine to the system. Now, if you're going to talk about like chewing tobacco, right, there's a whole bunch of like shards of metal or like fiberglass in there that it kind of cuts into your gums and gets it.
And that's the purpose of it too, is to inject it directly into you through kind of cutting into you. So
right. And then you have like cigarettes and there's a whole bunch of like rat poison and carcinogens in there. And so like that delivery method isn't good. I haven't tried the patches or the gum yet, but I guess those are a lot better. But for some reason, Chuck Schumer is going after Zin. And the theory is Tucker Carlson has come out really strong and said that Zin can save the world. He's partnered up with the Nelk Boys. I don't know if you saw that video of the Nelk Boys giving him that huge,
the world's largest Zin. The world's largest Zin. Yeah, I'm seeing it.
And I think this is politically motivated because you're right. They're not going after fentanyl. They're not going after all these other hard drugs. In fact, they're decriminalizing a lot of these drugs in states like Washington, California, Colorado. They're decriminalizing all this stuff. and it doesn't make any sense. Like where is their head at? They're just trying to make life worse for Republicans.
Well, there's that, and here's the other thing too, and a lot of this, because when you look at like what you said and what we've been saying is that they seem to be ignoring so many other issues. They're ignoring the crisis at the border. They're ignoring crises of other drugs in this country. They're ignoring the inflation crisis. They're ignoring pretty much every actual problem and instead prioritizing investigating and potentially banning Zyn. When we say they, main person we're talking about right now is Chuck Schumer, who's the Senate Majority Leader.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's kind of a big deal. And so when I say they, it's not just Chuck Schumer. You know that if he's the one focusing on it, that means the majority of at least Senate Democrats, it's something that should be that's supposed to be on their radar. I think actually John Fetterman came out though and kind of said that it was stupid to be going into that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just know Fetterman's been on kind of a more conservative kick recently. That said, though, so the first thing is they're focusing on all these other issues, or they're focusing on Zyn besides all these other issues. The second is, yes, it's kind of going after Tucker Carlson in a way that has to be kind of by definition, a conspiracy theory. And I'm not saying that to discredit it or anything. I mean, we know conspiracy theories are basically facts just 2 months before they become facts.
Yeah, they're the spoiler alerts.
Yeah. But then along with that, there's another kind of conspiracy theory I'll play along with, is the fact that numerous studies, and Tucker talks about this a lot, numerous studies show that certain levels of nicotine increase testosterone and can help out with cognitive ability. And as Tucker usually says, when it comes to the testosterone, it's male vitality.
Right.
Democrats in every way and progressive liberals have pushed this ideology that we should not have manly men.
Mm-hmm.
When men act manly, they are toxic. In fact, men, period, don't actually exist. A man can become a woman can become a man. And so to attack nicotine products in the way that they have been, and especially going all the way back to taking cigarettes out of public spaces, period, and shaming those that include them. Like Rob Reiner. Have you ever heard of, Rob Reiner, the actor?
Yeah. Yeah. The guy who's unbelievably annoying on Twitter, and he was on the Epstein list. And
if you go back to like the early 2000s, late 90s, he was a huge part of the I hate cigarette smoking. Everybody stop smoking and that whole, and shame people that do. And so Rob Reiner is like one of the people that's helped perpetuate this. It's been a thing through Hollywood, through government, like for a long time, is to get things that, and maybe I'm crazy. Tell me why I'm crazy. I'd love to know. I'd love to be wrong about all this because it's super negative. But it seems like just another way in which the new world order, whatever you want to call them, the elites want to get rid of manly men.
Yeah,
that's kind of the way I see it. Is it could be in part to that, and there's also a level of hypocrisy with it as well. And we could go into that other story because I sent you that one TikTok and bring this into that because there's a hypocrisy to it. They want to go after the nicotine and that, and they want to go after these things. Oh, it's really going to hurt our children. But, and I'm sorry if I sound like Michelle Obama on this one, but let's talk about our food. Yeah. Rob Reiner is an example. To go back to him, he's by no means a skinny man.
Nope.
And so you have these people who it's cigarette smoking is awful and nicotine is awful. It's going to kill you. It's going to kill you. But at the same time, they're shoveling crap that's full. And look, I'm not perfect. Like I have a Coke Zero here. I know it's not perfect. Like I'm not going to act like I'm the best of the best. But you got these people that are telling you that nicotine's awful and you're killing yourself and all this stuff. And then while they have their sign up in one hand that says like stop zinning. In the other hand, they're holding a double cheeseburger with like extra bacon and shoveling that from McDonald's into their mouth. And I'm like, wait.
Yeah.
If you're going to go so hard for the sake of consistency, I don't think we should ban any of these things. However, if you're going to be going so hard at banning nicotine and banning Zyn, then you should be going just as hard at banning McDonald's and Burger King and Wendy's and all that stuff too.
I agree. So this actually like ties in perfectly with the video that we're going to show you. Let me just get it set up here. Give me a second. Share screen. And then let's go. Hang on. Apologize on these controls here. All right. So let's watch. So the video is titled "Watch Me" or "Play to My 1-Year-Old's Breakfast with Me." So let's react to this real quick.
This fat fuck.
So we got donuts.
Yep. And this is for a 1-year-old. Remember, this is for a 1-year-old as we're watching this.
She's either looking at this like disdain or that she wants to have a donut.
At least she's cutting it up so that the 1-year-old doesn't choke on this donut.
Yeah, I don't. Okay, so we got that, and then what do we got?
Is this like? Oh, it's like one of those applesauce pouches, which I guarantee you is also packed full of preservatives.
Oh, for sure. However, it's definitely the most healthy thing on that plate.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Now we got a sippy cup.
What is this? Is she gonna put like Coca-Cola in it or what?
I don't know.
Milk.
Okay, some milk. That's not bad.
Okay.
That protein thing again that I tried yesterday.
Plant protein.
Didn't like it just flat out alone. I think a couple people suggested to do it in smoothies.
Put a pause it real quick.
Yeah.
Pause it. So she's explaining this right now. Do you hear how heavy she herself is breathing? Not to mention, I mean, look at that part that it's showing right there. Look at that double chin and like the extra neck that she's got. She got a second neck. And here's the problem is I feel terrible for this kid. One of my commenters said this kid doesn't stand a chance. Absolutely. I feel awful for this kid because this is essentially, and so we talk about smoking. Smoking is obviously bad for you. And I'll defend somebody's right to do it in a bar or something like that, because I do think that if a bar wants to allow people to smoke inside of it, then they should by all means allow people to do that. But I'm not going to say it's not bad for you. By all means, if you want to eat donuts and feed your kids this stuff and all this crap, and you want your kids to be just as unhealthy as you are, go for it. Go for it. But the awful thing is the example that this mom is setting for that kid. This is the equivalent of if you basically had your 1-year-old and you were smoking a cigarette and you were just like, hey, you want to puff real quick? Like that, how is that much different? Because you are setting them up for a life of failure and struggle, not to mention likely body image issues, being potential bullying that wouldn't necessarily be there if you taught them. You don't necessarily teach them to have a perfect healthy diet. Again, I'm not perfect by any means. I was kind of a fat kid for quite a while, I'll admit, and that wasn't because of my parents or anything. It was just my own personal bad choices. But it pisses me off to see when you have every opportunity to be at least somewhat more healthy, and you have people shoveling this crap into their system for breakfast on an average day. On an average, and this is a 1-year-old. This is a 1-year-old.
So here's the other thing that blows my mind is why is this person putting this out there on the internet? Like in some part of her mind, she has to know what she's doing is wrong, right? And then we can see here there's 25,000 comments. Like, I don't know what the comments are going to be.
Let's go look at some of the, I think you might have to log in, but I want to see what some of these comments are.
Yeah. Do I have to log in? All right.
I think so. You can take it off the screen and I can keep going. So take it off the screen, log in. And while you do that, here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell everybody out there, here's a huge problem with this is not only is she setting that kid up for failure and all these other things, but there is a fetishistic outlook on this kind of behavior. I'm telling you, there are people that look at this and some of them applaud it. In the idea that if you go against this kind of behavior, then you're fat phobic. You're fat phobic. No, I am fat phobic. I'll admit that. I'm afraid of putting more fat on my body. You want to know why? Because according to pretty much every verifiable health statistic out there, losing just 5 pounds decreases your chance of a heart attack by like
Right.
50%. And then every 5 pounds that you lose after that decreases your chance of heart attack, stroke, everything by a ton more. Actually, some studies show that losing weight and focusing on diet and exercise is actually healthier for you than quitting smoking. Like there are more health benefits to losing weight than there is to quitting smoking.
Well, so every nutritionist is going to tell you that 90% of health and wellness is what you eat. And so you can even like change your whole body, not even necessarily by going and working out really hard, but by changing the way you eat. If you look at like a majority of diets, and like health and fitness plans, essentially what you're going to find is if you eat more and work out, you're going to gain weight, and if you eat less and work out, you're going to lose weight.
Yep.
So this is insane. So I pulled the comments here, by the way.
You can pull them back on screen. Pull them back on screen so we can share them with everybody.
Okay, sounds good. Let me go ahead and present. Share screen. Sorry, guys. I'm still trying to get all this.
It's all good.
Away.
I've been there before, man.
All right. So the top comment is, I feel like it's easier to give them fruits, sugar-free yogurt, and an egg. Y'all are going to be twins. Deep breathing while preparing it does it for me.
Exactly.
She's going to be your twin. Just an idea. You can slice up strawberries and bananas and just give her half a donut or even a hard-boiled egg.
Why give her any donut at all? Why does she even need the donut?
Right. Donuts are not.
That protein thing again that I tried yesterday.
Oh, here's part of it.
She didn't like it just.
Am I the only one who notices the sneeze fart?
I think a couple people suggested to do it in smoothies. That's what my girlfriend
I didn't even
said,
notice the sneeze fart.
But I'm not.
Oh
doing a
my
smoothie
gosh.
Right now, so I'm gonna try to mix it with her regular.
Wait,
milk,
here's a weird one. Your happy facial expressions really shows your love of cooking and being a mother. This has to be like satire because
I don't. She does not look happy at all.
No.
And try it again.
How was this breakfast? My parents struggled, but they never gave me sugar for breakfast, eggs or yogurt with fruit or something along those lines. Oh my god.
Wait, go back up. You missed one. It said, I can tell she's yours.
Oh my god.
See, here's the thing. Here's the saving grace for this. Okay. So you're right. Why would you put this out there? And here's the other thing too, is I don't really understand why you'd put this out there, even if it was like a relatively normal breakfast. Like even if you were just making your kid a bowl of like Lucky Charms or something for breakfast.
Right.
This is stupid. It's stupid content. And the fact that it blows up as much as it does kind of numbs my brain anyways. But the other thing with it is at least we do have people, the saving grace, at least we have people in the comments that are like, this is awful. At least we're not the only ones that are seeing this and are like, this is insane. And that person should probably be arrested for child endangerment. But there's at least other people out there that see it the same way. And so that's what I'll say. Yeah. Michelle Obama I think Michelle Obama, to some extent, this can tie us into the next story, but Michelle Obama, when she was she just went about it all wrong. I don't think actually, and this is the only time one of the only times I'll ever compliment Michelle Obama. I think she had a point in what she was trying to do with get kids healthier. I just think she went about it all wrong.
Well, you know what's really interesting about that? So I was in high school when Michelle Obama was doing like the whole health kick. She got all the sugar out of all the vending machines. And this was the 1 year that I was in high school, by the way, because I was homeschooled for the rest of the time. So, but what was really interesting is that after that, Pokemon Go came out.
Ooh, yes.
And there was a big park in Bellevue. It's called Bellevue Park. And there was, I'm not kidding, 1,000 people there. And it was really funny because Pokemon Go got more people outside of their parents' basements than Michelle Obama did in like the 8 years that she was trying to do her thing. So, but it was this big grass park, and it was like just people like hanging out on their phones over in somewhere, and then someone would yell like Charizard, and literally 1,000 people would just like run across the park to go try to catch this Charizard, and then it would happen again, and it would happen again, and it was so incredibly funny. But I think that Michelle Obama had the right idea, maybe not the right execution, but the rest of the Obama's policies are pretty bad.
And that's what I think. I mean, when Trump gets reelected in 2024, I get Melania's be best thing that she had before, but I think that somebody should try to tackle the obesity issue in America. And I would love to see what Melania could do. And I think it would make more sense from her. I mean, she looks like a fit woman. She's a model and stuff. And so like, hey, Melania, here's my pitch to you. Let's get fat kids to be not fat anymore.
Well, I might actually disagree with you. I think Michelle Obama is more jacked than any other first lady that we've ever had.
True. But I mean, when you're a man, it's gonna happen. I mean, when you're
it's gonna happen.
Michael Obama, you know, it's Michael Obama. She's got a bigger ding-a-ling than yours truly. She's got a bigger ding-a-ling than yours truly.
Well, let's go into this next story because potentially she could be running. So let's hop into this.
Our first cross-dressing president, everybody.
I know. So this is actually
Megyn Kelly.
Megyn Kelly.
Everybody go make sure to follow us on Instagram too, no matter where you're watching from, @breakaway_USA on Instagram. Go check it out. And also check out all of our affiliates. They're tagged in a lot of our videos. So make sure to go check those out.
Yep. So here is Megyn Kelly.
Reportedly, I'm being told that Obama has pulled donors. This is Barack Obama for his wife. And that the plan is around May, Joe Biden announces he's not running. This will that allow the August convention for Michelle to get nominated at the August convention. That they don't want to do it any earlier than May because it would make Joe Biden a lame duck. But sometime between May and August, Mrs. Obama will become the nominee, that she will be subbed in. I can't imagine an answer from top Democratic donors to that question other than, we feel great about that. Please have her do that. I mean, it would be a total game changer, Rich. It would be a total game changer. Reportedly,
Wow.
Yeah,
what do we think about?
This is something I've talked about. This is something I've talked about on my show before. Because it's been a rumor. I mean, like for well over a year, there's been people out there that have said, what if they just like throw Michelle into the ring? What if they just do it? Like what would happen? And it's been kind of like a pipe, or kind of like not a pipe dream, but like a kind of really out there thing to say. Like it's not out of the realm of possibility, but it's like pretty damn near. And so that's something that I've heard a lot of people talk about. And I've talked about it and I've said, for a long time, I didn't think it was going to happen. The further and further we get, and now that we have some evidence to potentially back it up when it comes to donors beginning to pull some funding, would make more sense. And I think it's something we should be, we should be terrified about. Because I think this is kind of a plan that they would have. I mean, every election cycle we notice there is something that stokes division in race to basically push, especially the African-American community, back onto the Democrat plantation. In 2016, they weaponized, the Democrats weaponized a lot of police brutality instances and also mischaracterized them and took them out of context, such as like Trayvon Martin, Laquan McDonald, people like that. That was back in 2016. That's what gave rise to Black Lives Matter. Then 2020, we had the overdose that shocked the world and was claimed to be murder, which it wasn't. Everything with George Floyd, when George Floyd overdosed while he was being arrested by Derek Chauvin. But we were told, police brutality, vote, Republicans like cops, you should not. And so now that's how the Democrats, one of the ways that the Democrats pushed the blacks back into the Democratic plantation. But the thing is that it's not working anymore. It hasn't been working. I mean, in the last election, it really didn't help them that much. That's why they had to basically lie to the public in a lot of different ways. It hasn't been working as well because the thing is that they expect it to. And that's a a bigotry of low expectations for the black community, basically saying you're all too stupid. You're never going to notice that we're never actually going to do anything for you.
Right.
So a lot of them, if you look at the statistics, have started moving over towards the Republican side.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So now they need something else. And so Michelle Obama is going to be that. They're not going to play up necessarily all the police brutality. They're going to go to Michelle Obama this time.
So here's what I do know. Number one, Roger Stone is doing backflips right now. And here's why. I was at Turning Point Action Conference in Palm Beach, Florida in July. And
I was there too. I was with you.
Yeah. He on stage said that Michelle Obama was going to be the nominee. And everyone kind of groaned and all this kind of stuff. And he's like, no, listen to me. It's going to happen. So right now he is like a mage. He's a prophet right now. Number two, I don't actually think they're going to use race because they've overplayed their hand on that. They've gone way too far. What I do think is going to be a really big thing is the trans issue. Because what I know is I'm being dead serious. Trump's team is going to go after her. They're going to. So you know the thing about how Michelle Obama has no pregnancy pictures.
Yeah,
they're going to talk about that. They're going to make her prove that she is in fact a woman. They're going to make her prove that, because if she lies about her freaking gender, we've all seen the videos, whether we like it or not, of her dancing and her little ding-a-ling is like pushing out of her dress. There's been people who have put out like $10,000, $100,000 challenges saying, show me a picture of Michelle Obama pregnant. You can't find it. There's a lot of that. There's a ton of stuff out there that suggests that Michelle Obama is actually Michael Robinson, right?
Yeah.
Go look this up. In fact, there's and I don't know if this is real or not, but I posted it just to have it out there. But there's actually a voter registration where Michelle Robinson checked off that he is male in Chicago in 1994. So
here's the thing:
I hope he runs just for the meme.
Oh,
I hope
Mike
runs just for the meme.
That's something I'm going to say. So I don't know if Michelle Obama is actually a man or not, or was actually a man at one point. I don't know. And I likely will never know. We will likely never know. Like, for absolute fact, I will say there's a lot of interesting evidence out there to make it a potential, and not to mention the fact that there's a lot of evidence to also suggest that Barack himself is a homosexual. So
that's a fact right now. That's a cold hard fact.
Exactly. And so there's a lot that would point to maybe a yes, but I'm an evidence guy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I mean, like, unless Michael whips out his ding-a-ling sometime, or somebody can find pregnancy pictures that are obviously not AI or anything, I'm gonna be in the middle on this one. I really don't know.
I'm gonna go hard, by the way. I'm gonna find all the videos, all the memes, and I'm just gonna go unbelievably hard on this. I might start a separate Instagram. If I'm wrong,
and it turns out that Michelle Obama is 100% a guy, and we all find it out, and it's all known, I will make a 10-minute groveling apology video to you, Gentry, on my channel. I will do that. If I am proven 100% beyond a reasonable doubt wrong.
So my point is that the trans issue in America has become so polarized. I don't think that her running as a woman without coming out as trans, I don't think it's gonna work that well.
That would be like the biggest twist in the history of presidential elections. That would be that would redefine the term October surprise.
Yeah.
Like, it would be my brain would be broken if I woke up and one day it was Michelle Obama running for president as trans woman. If that was the headline, I'd quit. I think I'd quit. I'd just be done. Like with everything. And when I say quit, I don't mean like YouTube or anything. No, like I'd quit everything. I would just probably move out into the mountains and I'd be broken. I'd break. I'm convinced of that.
Here's the thing, though, is that we've been wanting, not we, but like America, the left has been wanting a woman president for so long. And if Michelle runs and it turns out she's trans, then it's not a real woman first president.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we've already learned. That's the thing about the trans movement is that we've learned is that even men are better at being women than women are. I mean, that's the patriarchy. The patriarchy is returning. That's what I say. I mean, sarcastically, I consistently say I actually love the trans movement because it just shows that we can restore the patriarchy in the most creative ways.
Kevin Fairs loves the trans.
Yep. I am the biggest friend. I'm the biggest fan of the LGBTQ community. I think that they have found a way to brainwash everybody and in the most narcissistic of ways. And it's just fascinating to me. I mean, it is a marketing ploy unlike any other that has been able to convince everybody to indulge in the most honestly degenerate behavior. And I'm impressed by it. Like, I'm genuinely impressed. Like, call me crazy, but are you not impressed with that? Like 20, 30 years ago, it was an incredible insult to call somebody gay. Mm-hmm. It was an incredible insult. Now it's insulting to other people if you use it as an insult.
So that's why I still use it.
We have flipped. And they've been able to do it, and the way that they have is a podcast episode in and of itself, and it's fascinating to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's a spectacle to behold.
Yeah,
and I got to witness like half of it in my lifetime, and honestly, it's insane. But I know we're getting away from the point. So when it comes to Michelle Obama running for president, I'll believe it when I see it. I don't necessarily think it's not going to happen, but I think it's more likely than the idea that she's also a man and running for president.
Do you think that Michelle Obama would have a chance to win against Trump?
Oh, yes. And that's what I meant by the race thing. So in the tirade that I went about race and how the Democrats try to control the narrative, and a lot of blacks are smarter than the Democrats will give them credit for. And so they've been getting out of it. But Democrats are starting to realize that it's not working anymore. And so Michelle Obama will be their goal. I mean, in 2008, that was like their whole thing with Barack Obama. It was like, it doesn't matter what he actually believes in. It doesn't matter what he actually does for you. It doesn't matter that he actually has basically abandoned the black community. He's a black guy, so you should vote for him. Mm-hmm. And it worked. I mean, it did. If you look at the numbers, it was like record voter turnout for the African American community. Period. And so that's what they would try to do with Michelle. And so with that, I do think that you'd have some people who might have been leaning towards Trump if you have two old white guys and the current one isn't working out for you. Mm-hmm. Then I'm going to go for the other one, the one that might work out for me that because it's not the same one as now. But if you have a black woman with an old white guy, you might have some people who are not in tune with politics as much and just look at simply those two people. And also the old white guy that everybody falsely characterizes as racist. Then yeah, you're going to have a lot of people that just get out and vote for Michelle. And so I think she could beat Trump. I think the only two people that would have a chance at beating Trump on the Democrat side would be Michelle Obama or Gavin Newsom. Those are the only two.
So here's where I will disagree with you, because we are in a totally different political climate in 2024 than we were in 2008. A totally different climate. There's so many more people that are waking up to the fact that Democratic policies are not good for anyone, let alone the black community, right? I see videos all the time of black people who are just ranting about the fact that Democrats suck. And they're getting tens of thousands of views on Instagram and TikTok and all this kind of stuff, right? So I don't think that they have the same grip that they did before, just because there's so many more people that have woken up. I think that it's probably not as many people as I think there are, because I'm always overly optimistic that people aren't as dumb as I think they are. Right.
See, I'm
But-
on the other side of it, though. That's
Yeah.
my thing, is I'm on the other side of it.
Yeah.
Now I don't want to say that everybody's dumb, but I just don't think that as many people pay as much attention.
Yeah.
I think they have every capacity to be open to it, but I think that there's a certain sense of ignorance that's
Mhm.
blissful for a lot of people, to where they don't even want to open up their mind to it. And I think that you've watched South Park, right?
I love South Park.
Yeah. Okay. So like the whole member berries thing.
No.
So it was probably about like 6-7 years ago now, if that, somewhere between then and now, where they had this whole thing about member berries, and they were like making fun of the fact that everything's getting rebooted. Like, oh, we have new Star Wars now, and it's creating this sense of nostalgia for people that makes them feel comfortable. And so people almost get a high and so they made jokes that people almost get a high on the level of nostalgia. And I think that's what Michelle Obama's campaign would be. Look, because Trump right now, part of his campaign, like, he also is looking forward and vengeance and all that kind of thing. But it's also to an extent of, look, life was better under my presidency than it has been under Joe Biden's. But for a lot of people, especially people in like yours and my voting demographic, we were like kind of children essentially during the Obama years. And so life to an extent felt better then, because we didn't have the stresses and the responsibilities of being an adult.
Yeah.
And so you could play, especially with the younger generation, on the member berries, the nostalgia factor of Michelle Obama, of oh wow, life was so great back then. And so especially for the younger generation, as well as some in the older, who just might have a personal distaste for Trump because of his lack of decorum. You're going to have a nostalgia factor that I think Michelle Obama could win over a lot of low propensity voters.
Interesting. Okay. I could see that. I had a thought though while you were talking just about the nostalgia, and I was thinking, okay, how can Trump actually use that to his advantage? And I think that he's missed a huge opportunity, right? A huge opportunity.
Huge.
Trump has missed a huge opportunity to have a callback to one of the reasons why he is one of the most famous people in the world, and it's because of the Apprentice. I think if Trump said, "Deep State, you're fired,"
You're fired.
I think that he would, and he just put up like old clips from The Apprentice of him saying, "You're fired." I mean, I don't know. Why hasn't he done that?
I mean, a lot of the clips that come out, and that's another thing we could talk about. That's one thing I get a little frustrated with Trump about, is some of his clips that come out, because it's not even his. You have these meme accounts that basically act as in part with Trump war room kind of people.
Right.
And they come out with like these meme clips, and like there's been a lot recently that I really hate, where it's like, I don't know if you saw this one. It was God Made a Trump, and it was a play on the old radio thing. I forgot the guy's name. Paul Harvey was his name. The old Paul Harvey clip of God Made a Farmer, but they made a new one with AI, and it was God Made a Trump.
Oh, I saw this one. It wasn't good.
No, and it was a meme thing, and I really hate it because there's a lot of different content out there that pushes like that. Oh, Trump is a godsend. Like, he's basically like, and it almost compares him to like the second coming. And I really hate that, because Trump is a flawed man like anybody else.
Yeah.
And he claims to be a Christian. He's by no means necessarily the most Christian individual. And that's not a problem. Yeah. I'm just like, he's just not the second coming. And it gives this image to moderates that might be interested in voting for him. It gives them this image that like, to support Trump is to be a part of a cult. And that's what a lot of the lefties say. And it doesn't help with like, oh, you could just be like an average person and support Trump. But when you have like all this stuff that makes it sound culty, you're pushing some people away. I know that. I know it for a fact.
Well, let me cut through this, because I do see what you're saying. And I don't think that Trump is the second coming of Jesus or the second coming of David or whatever that they want to say. But what I will say if you have read your Bible, it's not a whole bunch of like amazing, perfect people in the Bible, right?
I'm aware.
So one of like Noah, he built the ark. He saved like his whole family, but then he builds a vineyard and gets drunk and naked, and his kids have to cover him up, right? Gideon, yeah, dope. Gideon, he was a little scaredy cat. He was literally hiding in like a grape press for wine. And then God was like, no, you're going to come out and go do some great things. Samson was a freaking womanizer. The guy was nuts. And God still used him to like kill the Midianites or the Philistines or whatever it is, right? Because he's a mighty man. David, one of the most revered people in the Bible, was a freaking scumbag after he became king. He was like being a voyeur. He was looking over and saw this Bathsheba bathing naked, and he's like, I want her. How do I get her? So he sends his her husband to the front line of the war, kills him, and then marries this girl. Like that's not fantastic.
No. And I know there's a lot of stories in which God uses flawed people for his plan and his purpose.
That's exactly my point. Is that you don't have to be a perfect person in order to do good things.
I'm not saying that he has to be a perfect person. What I'm saying is a lot of the image that's sent to a moderate voter, and that's what I'm talking about. I'm not questioning the Bible or that there could be biblical truth to it. What I'm saying is the image that's presented, especially when he reposts it, is not a good one. It's not a good one. It makes him look crazy. It makes him look like he thinks that he's the second coming. It makes it look like to support him, you have to see him as the second coming. We can recognize that it'd be insane as a Christian Catholic myself, it'd be insane to say that there isn't a godly reason for Trump to be where he's at and to be basically the nominee for the party, to be advancing in the way that he is. It'd be insane to say that there wasn't a reason for that. But at the same time, I'm also I'd consider myself a political scholar in the fact that the image of making it seem like that's that's the only part of why he is where he is, and that's his only purpose, is in some way it's all just God given, and it's just going to be God going through it with him and everything. It's just not a good image. It's not a good image to your median voter and middle of the road people. Like I don't like it. I also just from a Christian perspective too. It seems pompous to me, unnecessarily. Does that make sense? I think I might have froze.
We're having some technical issues on my side.
I'm feeling that.
Here. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I noticed that there was a little bit of
perfect. You're back.
Okay. Was it all me? Could people hear me?
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. We'll figure it out. But that was my 2 cents on that. Okay.
I totally hear that. I would just encourage people to read the Bible, because it's not all butterflies and rainbows. There's a whole bunch of flawed people. Let's go to the next story, because I think that this is really important. So Seattle, Washington State Democrats, more specifically, what they're doing is they are pulling this up. Washington State Democrats propose replacing the term sex offender to advance a person-first approach. So there's a House Bill 2177 that would change the name of the Sex Offender Policy Board to the Sex Offense Policy Board. So essentially in my mind, what they're trying to do is normalize being a sex offender. It's really great to, whenever somebody says that they want to normalize something, it probably means that it shouldn't be normalized.
Yeah.
This is only one of the latest steps, though, with Washington State Democrats. And it's really, really frustrating. So Jay Inslee, who was our governor, he tried to secretly pass a bill that would say that, you can move into a new neighborhood and not declare that you're a sex offender, right? And then he tried to move these communities into like neighborhoods with kids in them so that they could just live, but they don't have to announce that they're a sex offender. Okay, that's number one. Number two, there was a huge uprising in Seattle about putting a playground next to a gay-friendly park in Seattle. And essentially, this is like a nude sex hookup beach in Seattle.
Whoa,
and there was a whole,
explain to me what the hell a nude or a gay-friendly park is.
I mean,
like-
it's exactly what you would imagine it as. So it was kind of this
but because to me, when I imagine gay-friendly park, I'm just like, oh, it's a park like that gays can go to, as opposed to a park that gays can't go to.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
I'm gonna find it on here, but there was a news article.
I would love to know what a gay-friendly park is. Is it just
Yeah.
does it mean like you have to? I don't know. You have to watch a certain. I don't know. I'm trying to think of like what that would mean. Like, do you have to prove that you're a certain level of gay to go there? Do you have to like? I don't know.
No. So the story goes, they wanted to put this kids park or this school next to this park, and so they were essentially kicking out the gays from their community. And I actually posted it on my Twitter. So I should have pulled this up before, but
good for them.
I know, good for them. But there was an uproar, and people just didn't like that it was there. Gay Park, Seattle. And it's one of the really interesting things. Okay. So let me go back and present my screen. And then we'll do this.
Plus safe space. It's been that way for decades. Under Washington law, it's not illegal to be naked in public. However, it becomes illegal if kids are nearby. That's what this playground would do.
Preserve our spaces.
The people who showed up here believe the private anonymous donor who's willing to front $550,000 for a playground wants to take that space away from them.
They say that it's not an intention to displace queer communities or any specific community. And that may be true on the park side, but I'd love to ask the anonymous donor whether that's true.
This is a place where people come up and they ask, is it safe here? Am I accepted here? And every time I've smiled and said, yes.
Denny
So it's Denny Blaine, and they wanted to build a kids park right next to it. $500,000 was donated to this kids park, and the gays came out and essentially said, no, this is our safe space. You can't invade it. Here's what I want people to understand. Okay. I just want, like, if you are gay in Seattle, you are safe from normal people. Maybe not the homeless, maybe not the drug addicts, but literally in Capitol Hill and in the city of Kirkland, right? So there's a little I'm
just dead at this whole idea that it's a gay park. Like, it's literally, it's a gay park.
No, I'm blowing your mind here. Seattle, there's a community called Capitol Hill, right? And it used to be a really fun place to go and party and go have a Seattle dog at like 1 a.m., right? When I was drinking, I used to go do that. Yeah. They literally have rainbow sidewalks. They have rainbows everywhere. In Kirkland, Washington, they have a trans crosswalk. This is not a place that's unsafe for these people. In fact, they're trying to champion it, right? And so the fact that these people are so delusional and saying, I want this safe space because I don't feel safe in Seattle being gay. It's argued that Seattle is one of the gayest places in the entire country. Seriously, it really is. like we're either tied with San Francisco or we're just like one or two, right? It is nuts. And so these these people.
And you
they're
live
the-
there? And you live there?
So I live outside of Seattle. I won't say exactly
yeah.
where I
You're
live,
just
but,
close enough so you can be almost. You're like bisexual. You're not close enough. You're not all in on the gay, but you're just like on the outskirts of it.
I'm very homophobic.
Quote, I'm gonna make that as short right there.
I'm homophobic. According to the left, I'm homophobic, transphobic, racist, bigot, and they don't know what any of those words mean.
We should make breakaway T-shirts, and one of the first ones needs to just be like, "I'm homophobic, Gentry Jeffers."
No, but there's this huge push to normalize being naked around kids, pedophiles, and it's just really, really frustrating.
Yeah, and this is like, I mean, this is the changing of language is how the left has normalized a lot of things that are not normal. Like, I mean, remember when pedophile actually was pedophile and not minor attracted persons? Like,
yeah, what the frick?
What I call them is target practice, but apparently you're not supposed to say that either. So, no, like we used to have all this shit where you could call something what it is, and now the funniest ones to me are just when they flip words. Like, remember when it used to be you could call somebody a colored person? Now, oh my God, you're a racist if you say that one. But instead, to not be a racist, you have to say people of color. How it's that much different, I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, well, but then they'll tell you it's like, oh, well, you put people first. You're calling them people. I was calling them people either way. But like, what people would you call me a white person or a person with white? No, like it doesn't matter. It doesn't flip it matter.
Yeah.
But they changed these words and everything to try to get you to submit, and it's in a small way too. Like, so the minor persons one is like a kind of a big deal, but when they do like those little ones, like person of color versus colored person, it's just it's their way of inching themselves closer. I mean, you always hear the phrase, if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile, and that's their inch. That's their inch.
Exactly.
If they can control language with that little thing, and it might make me sound crazy. It might to somebody out there be like, oh, Kevin, you're nitpicking a little bit, but I'm serious. I mean, look, that's how it started. It started off with, well, you can't say colored person. You're supposed to say black. Okay, well, now you're not allowed to say black. You're supposed to say African American. Oh, well, a lot of them aren't actually even from Africa. So let's now say black again. Oh, well, black still sounds kind of mean, and it doesn't also encompass all these other races. So let's say people of color. Eventually, it's just going to turn back to now you say colored person again for whatever flipping reason, because they keep changing it for the purpose of messing with us.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. And to see how much they can control us, because if they can control that little word and make it so that, oh, well, you're offensive and you're a bigot if you say it this way, well, then they could tell you to wear a mask all the time, everywhere.
Right.
Oh, but Kevin, they'd never do that. Yes, they did. And they will continue to keep pushing the envelope. Yep.
Well, they've gone so far. They've tried to control speech. They've tried to control our actions, right, with the masks. But what they're also doing, and what they have done, is try to control what we put in our bodies with this whole poke thing.
Yep.
Right. And so it's gone from like, oh, like, let's make it a little bit more inclusive to, oh, you have to take this bioweapon. That's what they've done. So that slippery slope that you're talking about is 1,000% true. If you give them an inch, they're going to take like freaking 10 miles.
No, absolutely. And they do it with other things too. It's not just, and I think one of the worst ones is when they do it for legitimate, like abhorrent, not only criminal activity, but just like morally terrible activities such as pedophilia. Or even like there's been, I want to do this. Let's try to do this for, and this is joking. I wouldn't actually do this, but let's talk about like the things that like we have, rape culture is something that's a big thing, right? What if instead of a rapist, we just say somebody who's consensually challenged? People with consent issues. Like, what if we did that? No, it sounds terrible.
Right.
It sounds terrible. Or we could take it to like murder. Like, I don't know.
There was a girl just recently in California who stabbed her boyfriend 100 times. She got off with 180 days of community service because she was in a weed-induced psychosis event. She said she didn't have control over what she did. She killed her boyfriend because she was on weed. And instead of getting life in prison, she got 180 days. So that's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. It's just
exactly what you're talking about.
We're going to change because the thing is we're not even changing definitions. They do change definitions for something. I mean, that's what they've done with racist, bigot, homophobe. They change definitions to make the other side look bad, but they also don't change the definition. They just change the word associated with said definition so that it sounds nicer.
Yeah.
And that's what it's really fascinating to me. I mean, it's another instance in which they brainwash the American public to go along with their ideology because it sounds nice, and it's just like the Pride movement thing. It's just fascinating to me, and is honestly kind of impressive. And the right doesn't do it enough. I mean, that's why we should play by their own rules. Why don't we make up our own words for things?
Like, well, why don't we just go back to the old words that we used, like retarded and gay?
Yeah, no, 100%. So when it comes to this story specifically, just say what you want. It's a free country right now, and if you want to keep free speech, say things what you want, how you want. But I always do remind people when it comes to things, just because you have a right to say something doesn't always make it the right thing to say. There needs to be a middle ground, you know? Like you should still try to treat people with kindness. I know, like you and I, like when you're having conversation with friends or something, like, and you know your boundaries and you know, like your limit. And so don't let the government tell you what you can and can't say, but also have a conscience. That's where I'm going to leave with. That's where I'm going to end that with.
Right. And I see people all the time saying, "Oh, like you're censoring us." Oh, like all this kind of stuff, and you're talking about like private organizations and stuff like that. People need to reread the First Amendment because it basically says that the government can't compel your speech.
That's all the amendments too. All the amendments are, this is what the government can and can't do. And so, like, if I say to somebody, I'm like, you shouldn't say that, or you have every right, or you should say that. I'm not the government.
That's not censorship. That's not censorship.
Exactly.
Right? And so exactly what you're saying, you can say whatever you want, but there could be consequences. Like the perfect example is like, if you go mouth off to a dude in a bar, you're going to get punched. That's not a violation of your First Amendment. That's just you being stupid.
Yeah, but the other thing too is if you're going to get punched, because I also have a problem with that. We're going to go back and forth on this for a bit, but like if you get punched, that person committed a crime against you.
Right.
You can have them arrested. Your speech is not a crime. And we need to be clear with this, because what you just said there is a common thing that's said by leftists is they will say, well, you can say whatever you want. You have your First Amendment, but you don't have freedom from the consequences. And to an extent, you do have freedom from the consequences. No one should be punched for their speech. No one should be like Charlie Kirk going to try to speak on a college campus. That speech should not be shut down, especially if it's at a state university. Well, mainly if it's at a state university. If it's a private college, they can do whatever they want. I still think it's wrong, but to an extent, they can do whatever they want. Like there could be consequences. You could get death threats, which are also illegal. You should know those consequences, but you should be free from any consequences that are in and of themselves illegal. You should not have a consequence that does not fit the crime.
Right.
And so if somebody is committing criminal activity against you for something that was not criminal activity, but just hurt their feelings, that is not an equitable, as they always want to use equity.
Yeah.
Like that is not an equitable punishment for said crime. So I don't know. It's really, it kind of gets deep in there, and you don't want to say that that freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom of consequences. To an extent, it kind of does to some extent. Some consequences, I mean, it's deeper than that.
Right. Well, I think this is a good place to end this live stream. To everybody who has watched up until this point, thank you so much for watching. Please share this episode. Go follow us on breakaway_USA. Follow me, Gentry Jeevers, and Gentry W Jeevers on all platforms. Follow Speechless with Kev. He's actually got a brand new Instagram account that we're trying to grow.
Heck
So
yeah.
please go share that. We're going to post some of these clips on TikTok and Twitter and Instagram. So if you see those, please share us. Please share that. Thank you so much for watching. And until next weekend.
Heck yeah. See you guys later.